you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Please, everybody, please take your seats. Welcome to the State Department, Mr. Prime Minister, and Mrs. Lee, and Mr. Vice President, Dr. Biden, my counterpart, Foreign Minister Balakrishnan, and Mrs. Balakrishnan, and distinguished guests all. We are really delighted to welcome you here this afternoon. Your Excellency, we have been very, very much looking forward to welcoming you here. I am personally pleased to have a chance to repay you for the many visits I have made to your beautiful country and the warm hospitality I have continually received, and particularly last year when we had a chance to visit. As the President said repeatedly in both private conversation and public, Singapore may be a small country, but it is a small country with an extraordinarily large voice and impact on its region and indeed even on the world. And your leadership, Mr. Prime Minister, over the last dozen years has contributed very significantly to a model of good governance, to economic dynamism, and intercultural harmony. And I am not just saying that because you went to graduate school in Massachusetts. Now, this very elegant set of rooms that we are privileged to borrow for the purposes of our diplomacy see us gathered in a place that is dedicated to the memory of the men and women who founded the United States of America more than 200 years ago. But in Singapore, the memory of the nation's founder is still very much at the forefront of everybody's mind. Back in 1967, when Lee Kuan Yew arrived here for his first state visit, President Lyndon Johnson referred to him as a formidable thinker, as the architect of his nation's future, as the spokesman for a new generation in a new Asia, and as the #1 golfer among all presidents and prime ministers in the world. And in the decades that followed, every element of that description was borne out. During my years in the United States Senate, I was privileged to take full advantage of the chance to meet with Lee Kuan Yew, as the Vice President did, and both of us would attest there was no person, no mind that had as good a sense of strategy and as good an understanding of the region as Lee Kuan Yew. And we were privileged to solicit his thoughts on everything from the rise of China to the emergence of the Asian tigers to the best role for the United States in the region. And I know our friend, the former Secretary Henry Kissinger, is here, and he did the same, right? Didn't all come from Henry, folks, is the point I'm making. The founder, Lee Kuan Yew, was the first to really point out that the center of economic and political gravity in the world was shifting to the east, a trend that was later recognized by President Obama when early in his administration he announced a rebalance of U.S. foreign policy in the direction of Asia. And today, our friendship with Singapore and with Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong is playing a major role in that rebalance. More than 3,700 U.S. companies have a presence in Singapore. Our students sit in each other's classrooms. We collaborate in training the regional leaders of tomorrow. And our armed forces cooperate on every single level. And it was Singapore that actually invited the United States to join the landmark Trans-Pacific Partnership, a pact that is good for American workers and businesses, good for Singapore, good for the environment, and essential to unite 40% of the global economy around standards that create a race to the top, not a race to the bottom. The fact is that if we list the primary challenges facing the globe today to generate shared prosperity, fight corruption, defeat violent extremism, prevent the proliferation of nuclear weapons, to preserve the environment, the health of our planet, and to strengthen the rule of law both within and among nations, Singapore and the United States are allies operating absolutely hand in glove on every single one of those issues. And that is what strategic partnership means. And that is a friendship, believe me, worth celebrating, which is precisely what we're here to do this afternoon. I'm glad to say that we have some help in doing that. In the Monroe Room next door, I just had the privilege of showing the Prime Minister a table where our librarians have set up a display of books, maps, and pamphlets related to Singapore's history, which are part of our archive. And both here and downstairs, all of you, we have been entertained by musicians from the United States Navy and Army bands. We will be treated a little bit later to a performance by the stars of Cameron Mackintosh's spectacular new production of Phantom of the Opera. And in the next few minutes, we will enjoy the artistry of our wonderful guest chef, Kevin Spraga of Philadelphia, who is a participant in the State Department's Diplomatic Culinary Partnership Program. So I want to drink a toast, ask you all to join me in a toast, but before you raise your glasses, I just want to say one thing. I listened carefully to the press conference with the President and the Prime Minister, and I just want to say that I heard one of the most exquisite, articulate, powerful arguments for the TPP from the Prime Minister. An argument which literally drew on American history, on Smoot-Hawley, on tariffs, on the things we have tried, and what it brought about, namely a depression. And the Prime Minister said, you know, if you turn in the wrong direction, it may take years to get back from it, and it will be at great cost to the world. So, Mr. Prime Minister, that is what we have come to expect from the Prime Minister of Singapore. It's what we expect from you personally. It's what we're privileged to get. And so I drink a toast to you on the journey traveled between our countries, on the journey yet to be traveled, on the mutual respect and great, great friendship between our countries. Thank you. Cheers. And now it is my privilege to introduce my great friend and the great Vice President of the United States, Joe Biden.
Thank you. Well, Mr. Prime Minister, Mrs. Lee, Secretary Kerry, Secretary Bob McDonald, our colleagues Ben Cardin and Chris Coons, and many others are here. I'm leaving out an awful lot of very important people. Dr. Kissinger, I want you to know I think it did all start with you. I want to get that clear right at the outset here. And there's a reason John was being so complimentary about your press conference, and you're talking about the history of trade agreements. We expect you back here in the lame duck session lobbying on the House and the Senate to get this done. We're going to need all the help we can get, and I thank you. I want to start by sending our thoughts and good wishes to the American people to former President Athan and hopefully have a speedy recovery. We're honored to welcome you here, Mr. Prime Minister. Over the years, I've had the privilege, as John and many in this room have met with you on several occasions, both here in Washington and in Singapore. And I don't ever try to improve on Tip O'Neill's assertion that all politics is local, but I think it is. I'm going to try. I'm old enough to do it now. I think all politics is personal, particularly in international relationship. And during that time, the Prime Minister and I and many others in this administration have gotten to know one another. And Jill and I will never forget the welcome you provided for both of us when we were in Singapore 3 years ago. The visit was special because we're because in this case, we're celebrating an anniversary of 50 years of productive partnership, 50 years of commerce and 50 years of cooperation, friendship, and mutual affinity. When our nations first established diplomatic relations, as John so eloquently pointed out, President Johnson was particularly impressed with your father, as everyone that I've ever met has been who had a chance to meet with him. I think there are only two men in the world, and I don't think I know, there are only two men in the world that I've met in my 44-year career that have such a strategic vision and such a command of international relations, and I would add some wisdom. Your father is one, and I think Henry Kissinger was the other. And the fact that they both had such high regard for one another reinforces my judgment that I'm right about the two of them. I was on my way from Mumbai to Tokyo, then heading to Beijing, and I got a phone call. Would I stop in Singapore, and this is in addition to when you hosted me, to meet with your father? Because your father had known that I had, because of an unusual relationship, spent an awful lot of time with President Xi when he was vice president. We spent about 9 days together traveling to each other's countries. And your father, I sat down with your father, which was a great honor. And at one point, about 5 minutes into the conversation, we were talking about how quickly the President Xi had consolidated power. And I said, what are the Chinese doing now? I'll never forget what your father said to me. He looked at me and he said, they're in the United States of America looking for the buried black box. And I looked at him because this was the time the airliner had gone down. And I said, the buried black box, Mr. Prime Minister? He said, yes. He said, they're looking for the box that contains the secrets that allows America to be the only country in history to be able to constantly remake itself. And not only did he, and followed by you, begin to remake and ultimately remake Singapore, and you're helping us remake our relationship with the entire region over the past 50 years, particularly in the last 8 years that we've been here. I don't think even Lee Kuan Yew fully imagined how fruitful this relationship would become. On the economic front, as John pointed out, we now have a two-way relationship of over $60 billion a year. Singapore accounts for 85% of the ASEAN investment into the United States. And as John pointed out, there are thousands of American businesses in Singapore, 3,600, 3,700, don't know the exact number, but thousands. And it's an economic partnership that's remarkable, but for its size and its quality. You know, we play by the same rules, both our countries. We both reward innovation, we protect intellectual property, and the rules governing business are transparent and they're fair. And we both know there's sort of a new rule of physics in international relations. And that is, there are certain things that have to take place for a country to succeed economically. And you abide by all those ingredients. And our security relationship is equally strong. The United States of America has been and will continue to be a Pacific power. I believe our sustained presence and leadership in the region over the past 70 years, quite frankly, has helped foster the region's remarkable rise from India to the Philippines, from China to Australia. And it's a view I know you share as well. But no nation understands better than yours, Mr. Prime Minister, that Singapore has been the center of this administration's rebalance to the Pacific. Our militaries are deeply connected. During my visit 3 years ago, I visited the USS Freedom, one of our littoral combat ships stationed in Singapore, as part of a commitment to ensure regional stability. And Mr. Prime Minister, both Singapore and the United States understand as well that education is the key to success in the 21st century for any nation. As my wife Jill, who's with me today, points out, any nation that out-educates us will out-compete us. We both fully understand that. And more than that, education underpins the economic and social progress at home and builds understanding and cooperation abroad. So I want to thank you, Mr. Prime Minister, for the new scholarships that were announced earlier today, which will allow even more Singaporean and American students to study and learn together. And this is all to be celebrated. But our relationship goes well beyond our bilateral cooperation. At its core, the relationship is rooted in a shared vision of the world, a shared vision of what the world should look like in the 21st century. It's about our mutual commitment to upholding and extending liberal, rule-based international order that otherwise security and stability throughout the world would not be able to happen. To underwrite that security, we need this international rule-based order, and in the Asian Pacific and beyond. Both our nations understand that having secure lanes, sea lanes, and open skies, that's what allows for the guarantee of the free flow of commerce. And having high standard trade agreements that protect workers' rights and environment and intellectual property, that's what drives economic growth and prosperity throughout the region. And if we get TP, I think it's going to enhance economic cooperation throughout the world. Having strong institutions like ASEAN and a shared commitment to abide by international rules and norms, that's how to resolve disputes. We talked about that today in the Oval, and ensure a peaceful future for all the peoples in the region. That's the future that Singapore and the United States are working side by side to build. And that's why we stand together as partners to address the global threat of terrorism and violent extremism, both in the Middle East and in Southeast Asia, as again we talked about in the Oval today. And that's why we're doing more together to address the 21st century challenge of nuclear proliferation, cybersecurity, and climate change. It's a long agenda, but together we can make real progress on each of the issues I've raised. And that's why we're training our partners throughout ASEAN. Together we're training our partners to better take on the region's most important issues, everything from providing disaster relief to improving energy efficiency. In each instance, we've proven that we accomplish more in the world when we work together. During our visit to Singapore in 2013, as I said, I had the honor of visiting your dad before he passed away. And as other world leaders have told you, I don't think there's I can't imagine. It must have been like a runway into your home, all the world leaders wanting to meet with your father. If my father were here, he would look at you and say, son, you have good blood. From the earliest days, Singapore's journey, your dad said, quote, "A nation is great not by size alone. It is the will, the cohesion, the stamina, the discipline of its people, and the quality of their leaders, which ensure it an honorable place in history." You have accomplished an honorable place in history over 50 years, and the people of Singapore have borne out the truth of Lee Kuan Yew's vision, becoming the hub of commerce, education, innovation, outpacing and outcompeting countries that dwarf you in size. They're gigantic. Singapore is a model for how a nation can rise from humble beginnings to prosper with will and cohesion and stamina. But it's still amazing how quickly it happened. Singapore has earned an honorable place in history, and I'd like to now, if I may, please join me in raising your glass to the friendship between the people of Singapore and the United States, and to our people, and may that partnership continue for the next 50 years and well beyond. Here. Thank you. The podium is yours, Mr. President. Please.
Vice President Joe Biden, Mrs. Biden, Secretary Kerry, I thank Vice President and the Secretary, for hosting us to lunch, and also for your very warm remarks just now. I've had more than my say this morning at the welcome ceremony and at the press conference, so I won't bore those of you who were there this morning repeating myself. But I'd like to say we have a long and deep relationship between Singapore and America. It's a friendship, it's a partnership, it's a cooperation based not just on interests, but also values, strategic perspectives and ideals which are shared in large measure and which provide the basis for us to work together for many years to come. It's also a relationship which is, as Vice President says, ultimately about people. People who know one another, people who understand one another, are on the same wavelength. You don't always agree, you have different perspectives, but we can talk to each other and I can see why you think like that, and I hope you can see why I think like that too. And it's, I've been visiting America for many years, but many Singaporeans have visited America. There are thousands here at any time, and there are thousands more Americans who are in Singapore at any time. And all over America, in every state, almost every city, you will find Singaporeans who are here studying, working, living, maybe married here, flying our flag, but we are present little red spots all over the US, helping that integration and that mutual understanding. I first came to the US, visited it in 1974. I spent 3 years in England. In those days, America seemed a long way away. But I came here, and it was something of a culture shock because from Cambridge, England, I came to Fort Sill, Oklahoma. It was in the middle of summer. The temperature was about 105 degrees on certain days. And I survived 3 months of that in an artillery school, which is still there and where our soldiers still go and practice, still go and train and exercise in very ambitious exercises now, which 40 years ago were unimaginable, either for America or for Singapore. After Oklahoma, I went and spent 3 weeks in Los Angeles. It was with a company called Litton Industries. I'm not sure it still exists, but it was a defense industry. And you get a sense of the West Coast, California, which is a law unto itself and different from the rest of America, full of vibrance, oriented towards the Pacific. And if it were an economy, it would be a big country in the world, even as it is a big partner for us and a big source of our investments. A few years later, I came back and spent time in America again, another place which most of you will probably not have visited, Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. It's one of the best places in America, I assure you, not just because the penitentiaries are there, but because it's where you've got your staff college for the Army, and you bring together every year at that time about 100 allied and friendly officers from other countries. And they come, they study together, they get to know one another, they understand how you work. You hope you will learn to be able to interoperate with them, especially the NATO forces, but also your friends elsewhere. And anyway, you establish friends whom you keep for a very long time. And in my case, I was very lucky. I had military sponsors whom I've kept in touch with, Frank and Mary McGurk, and they're still here, and here they are this afternoon. Almost 40 years later. After Fort Leavenworth, I suppose, I'm not sure if you'd call it a reprieve, but I went to Massachusetts. And
It's a reprieve.
It's the East Coast. The rest of America will think, well, that's not representative of America either, but you get to understand not only how the universities work, but also how the universities link up with the government, with the think tanks, and there's a constant flow of ideas, of people, of possibilities, and therefore you renew your intellectual batteries and you are able to harness your universities and your academics, some of your brightest minds, on practical, real problems of the world. I spent a year at the Kennedy School. It was Leavenworth said it was the best year of your life, and America, Boston, was not bad either. So that was my initial sampler. But since then, over the years, I've been all over, and each time I visit a new city, you'll find there people who are different because America is diverse, people who are working hard in their own way, overcoming their own problems, people who are open, welcome, friendly, who embrace you and make you feel at home. And it's unique, and it's only in America. So today, to be here today and have this chance to talk to all of you, I'm very grateful and very moved. And I'd like to thank especially the Vice President for introducing me. He was in Singapore 3 years ago, visited us. He visited our naval base where one of the littoral combat ships was, the USS Freedom. It was the first one to be deployed to Singapore. I think they've rotated now, but right now there are 2 LCSs in Singapore, and eventually there will be 4 of them. And it's Singapore's contribution to help America to be engaged in the region, to help contribute to the security and the stability of the region, and it helps our security and stability in Southeast Asia and in Singapore too. The Vice President has made a strong case for the TPP, as has the President, and I know that he is past master at securing votes on the Hill for difficult problems like this, and I look forward to his deploying all his powers and getting the TPP ratified very soon.
Help, right?
And we will do all we can to help, whether in Singapore or in America. Also happy to see Senator Kerry again, or Secretary Kerry now, who last visited us just in August last year. The last time I saw him, he was, I think, still in crutches, but I'm glad he's healed, and I suspect he's cycling again. And he's made many trips to Asia, added substance to the rebalance, attended many ASEAN meetings, and also opened a permanent mission to ASEAN, the first by a non-ASEAN member. So I hope that the U.S. will continue its rebalancing and its active engagement in the region. It is something which many, many countries in the region support and hope will strengthen. They don't all express it in the same way. Some of them find it more implicit than others. Singapore has nailed our colors to the mast, and we have stated our position unambiguously for many years. It's a good thing. It needs to continue. It's good not just for the region, where millions of souls depend upon it, but it benefits the United States tremendously because they're securing peace and stability in the Asia-Pacific, which otherwise could be a very troublesome part of the world for you. So finally, I'd like to pay tribute and thank the many U.S. ambassadors and diplomats who have served in Singapore, and those who are here today as well as those who are not here today. They've played an important role fostering the good relations between our 2 countries. Many of you have remained good friends and engaged long after your tour of duty. And your presence today testifies to the depth of the friendship between our 2 countries, not only the governments but also the peoples. So may I now invite you to offer a toast to the enduring friendship between Singapore and the United States, and to wish that it will continue to strengthen and flourish for many years to come. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Looking forward to coming
Cheers.
back.